Good morning, everyone. This is Kamalkant Pant, the principal of IHM PUSA. It's a pleasure for me to welcome all the esteemed panelists and the participants to this webinar. We regret the slight delay of about 10 minutes to start this because one of our esteemed panelists is trying to us to start the webinar as he joins us. This is the webinar we are organizing in very difficult times due to the COVID pandemic. Every walk of life is very badly affected. And in this webinar, we have tried to bring together a very perfect mix of academia and the industry representatives to deliberate on how the hospitality education sector should gear itself up to take the things forward. It's my pleasure to introduce the esteemed panelists to you. First of all, I would like to introduce Professor Alok Sharma, who is the director of the Indian Institute of Tourism and Travel, which has got centers headquartered in Gwalior. It has got centers in Noida, Bhubaneswar, Goa, and many camp centers in so many different places. Besides being a very well administrator, Professor Dr. Sharma is outstanding architect. I have had the pleasure of working in the buildings designed by him and also to live in a house which was so nicely designed by him. And his interests go beyond the academics. He's one person who likes to make positive changes in the society. And I have seen numerous work that Professor Sharma has been doing for making a better place out of the society that we live in. It's a pleasure for me to welcome Professor Dr. Alok Sharma to this
Thank
webinar.
thank you, Kapil sir.
My pleasure is also to introduce Ms. Sangeeta Gandhi, who is the Vice President of the prestigious Oberoi Center for Learning and Development. She is an alumnus of IHM Bhubaneswar and a management trainee at the Oberoi School of Management as it was known then. And she has got experience of working in different Oberoi hotels in Mumbai, Delhi, and besides the Oberoi, which is her parent organization, she has also got the experience of working in the Hilton hotels. She is a thoroughbred trainer, a behavioral trainer, and she's a practitioner of Brick Meyer type indicator, personality indicators, and heading one of the most prestigious hospitality schools of any organization in the country. You're most welcome to this webinar, Ms. Sangeeta Gandhi. Next, we move on to another personality that we have, a very dear friend of mine, Dr. Swaroop Sinha. Dr. Sinha has served in two of our sister institutions at the IHM Gwalior and IHM Gandhinagar before he took up the job of the dean at the Aurangabad Institute of Hotel Management at the Zakaria campus. And he has been heading the Welcome Group. It used to be called the Welcome Group Management Institute earlier. It is the ITC Hospitality Management Institute now. And he is the person who is responsible for not only grooming the hospitality professionals for the ITC group, but in all verticals, be it engineering, be it management, cost accounting, everything. And he has been helping the academia a great deal. And it's a pleasure for me to welcome Dr. Swaroop Sinha to this webinar.
Thank
Next,
you.
we have the pleasure of, I think, Mr. Satbir Singh, who is the Director of Studies for the National Council for Hotel Management. He has joined us now. Uh, I have the pride in declaring that Mr. Satbir Singh is an alumnus of IHM PUSA, and after graduating from this institution. He has had a good stint of working as a professional chef. Le Meridian was the organization where he started his career from, and then he has moved on to become center in Agra, their corporate training center. He was heading that institution, and he has been as the director and the dean of the hospitality schools before he moved to IHM Faridabad as its principal, and he has been guiding the academic programs of the National Council for the last 2 years. So once again, I would like to welcome all the participants to this webinar. We have a very good eclectic mix. We have got, I'm sorry, Chef Umesh Matu, last but not the least, a panelist who is also an alumnus of IHM PUSA, and he has had stint of being a chef in number of hotels in the country and abroad. And we have brought him today to represent the single owner, single property hotels, where he has been consulting for past so many years. I have the pleasure of seeing the transformation taking place in some of the hotels where I had the pleasure of going as a star classification committee member. The kind of transformation or metamorphosis which has been brought about by him in some of the hotels. So very eclectic mix we have got in the panel today. We have got three of the professionals, representing the hospitality industry. Ms. Gandhi, Dr. Sinha, and Chef Mattu are from the industry. They also represent the corporate sector, the private sector. And Professor Sharma, Mr. Satbir Singh, and myself, we represent these three autonomous bodies, institutions, which are promoted by the Ministry of Tourism, Government of India. Now, entering the subject matter today, we see that education is one of the most hit sectors because of this pandemic. The new normal which is there, which has to maintain the social distance amongst the people, that is putting pressure on the institutions to keep the students away from the academic institutions. So we wish to deliberate on how we have to carry business of educating our youth forward. I see some of the challenges they are there in various walks of life. The most important and very pressing one, which is looking at us in our eyes, is the logistics that we have to take care of. We have to run our institutions effectively. The new normal, social distancing, the new hygiene practices, the new habits that we need to inculcate amongst ourselves. That is what we have to look at immediately. The second very important challenge that we are faced with is to manage the costs, the new costs which are there on account of increased manpower that needs to be brought in to keep the premises, clean and sanitary to avoid the spread of the coronavirus. And the last thing is most important is because of this situation, if the talent is disillusioned with the hospitality industry, if they choose other sectors over hospitality, then that is the biggest challenge. And then we have to really deliberate as to how we are going to tackle that. So I would like to first invite the only lady in the panel today, Ms. Gandhi, if you could please come forward and make your opening remarks. Ms. Gandhi.
Thank you so much, sir. It's a pleasure to be, in this webinar with such industry experts. Um, Indeed, it is also all the more nice to be on this panel because, given the circumstances, I think on a day-to-day basis, when life is the so-called what we know as normal, probably I wouldn't have uh, been speaking to all of you on the same platform. And it's great that I think this work from home in a way is actually helping us out. So, having said that, indeed, it's very challenging times for hospitality education. Um, in terms of, I think we are truly seeing what many of you may have heard as a VUCA world, something that is absolutely uncertain, volatile, complex, and a lot of ambiguity. There are more to very few answers. Now, when you're surviving, I'll speak from a corporate and corporate training center perspective. This from the time that the pandemic unleashed, we have only been sort of preempting questions and trying to answer to ourselves. And as we move forward, one thing that we have realized is the disruption that has happened has been phenomenal to hospitality education. We are a people centric. I mean, everybody knows that you can't teach skills sitting at home through a virtual platform. You can't teach people how to greet guests, how to express warmth, hospitality, etc., whilst you're on a Zoom call or a Microsoft Teams or a WebEx or whatever. And so I think we are being completely disrupted where hospitality needs to relook, reconsider how do you continue training, skilling people, uh, irrespective of what the I think the new normal, it's time we remove the new from that. This is the normal that we're going to encounter. Uh, Physical distancing, maintaining safe distance, focus on hygiene, which Mr. Panja spoke about. I think these are going to be really, really critical. Fortunately, we've been an industry where hygiene and sanitation, I think, has been of paramount importance. So it doesn't come too much as a surprise, but of course, the focus with which, the razor sharp focus with which we are going to have to deal with it, not giving even a single opportunity of a slip up, is, I think, going to be massive. One of the other things that I would leave the audience to also think about is that, and predominantly because the audience happens to be the young ones who are actually at the receiving end of whatever we do and how we go about doing it. I think the main shift that is going to come is in the form of mindset of young people. From being instructor led, teacher led kind of learning scenario, the emphasis is now on self-learning. Can you reach out to knowledge? Can you reach out to information and learn? Can you be self-disciplined? Can the organization, can the industry, can colleges, universities expect the youth to be able to reach out to information, which is actually very easily available? But the problem is, do I have the inclination and do I have the ability and the wherewithal in terms of infrastructure, connectivity, etc., available to me to be able to do that? So I think there are questions that need to be answered, which I'm sure we're all struggling, everybody on the panel, to deal with, from a curriculum point of view, from a education, teaching, training point of view, from a learning from the for the youth and the students, and for us at the industry at the end of the day, because we are the people who would be working with the resources that come out of these colleges and institutes. I think the confidence that in the new environment, in the new methods of teaching, training, that the youngsters are still as equipped, as skilled as they have always been. And so creating that momentum going on. I think those are the few challenges that we would definitely need to be able to live up to and deliver.
Yes. I couldn't agree more with you, Ms. Gandhi, on many things that you have spoken. But I would really like to emphasize on what you said about students becoming more entrepreneurial, they taking the onus on themselves for their learning. And I think the challenges are there for the teachers, for the institutions, and for the students themselves to transform themselves. Now, may I have the pleasure of inviting Professor Alok Sharma to bring in the perspective of a designer and academician and an administrator in this situation, please. Professor, kindly unmute your mic, please. Sir, it's on mute.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pant. I am facing the same sort of challenges. We all are facing same sort of challenges. So I was thinking that we will get some solution here, but there is a lot of uncertainties there. And we have done the normal arrangements like classrooms are double now, and we are conducting classes. We are planning to conduct classes like examinations with a spacing or social distancing. And we have keeping 2-3 rooms separately as a isolation rooms in hostels. We are keeping everything sanitized, and we have given different contracts. So the institute should be show the parents of the student should get a confidence that yes, this institute has an environment in which we can send our students. But the challenges are the same. Industry is a little bit not stable, and how much time it will take. It will come out. Mr. Sarup is here, Mr. Mattu is here, and Ms. Gandhi is also there. We all have to think that when it will finish. I think when the season of the tourists come in the October, I think may be normal, and we can hope again that yes, now things are okay. Now, so this much I want to say.
Thank you very much. And we could all use a little bit of optimism in this kind of a situation. Well, reality nobody knows, but optimism very certainly is what we require. I would like to bring in Dr. Swaroop Sinha now. You have a state-of-the-art institution, world-class facilities you have in your institution. But the challenges still remain. When these things were designed, nobody thought a situation like this would emerge, which will bring in things like social distancing, and people, hospitality is challenged very badly, Smile is the most important thing that we are supposed to offer to our guests. And the masks come, that is masking the smile which is there behind it. So in this kind of a situation, how are you strategizing to overcome this situation, Dr. Sinha?
Good morning, everyone. First of all, yes, I do agree that smile is a challenge now. People can't see that you're smiling. But I think we have a beautiful namaste right now, where there's no contact, but there's a lot of emotion. I think we should be able to use whatever is available with us at this point of time. Moving on, I will quote Martin Luther King Jr. He was a great orator, and if you look back to a great speech what he gave in 1963, August 28, and the title of the speech was "I Have a Dream." I think I speak on behalf of all the young ladies and gentlemen of the industry who aspire to be the leaders as we move ahead. Every student who joins either a catering college or a travel and tourism institute, they join with a dream. And I think it's our responsibility, each one of us in this room, to ensure that we facilitate in them earning a dream. Now, what happens is today's deliberation, as Mrs. Gandhi and Professor Sharma also spoke about multiple things which we're going to deliberate. But I think our esteemed colleagues, we need to focus on some of the aspects which I thought I will put it forward in front of the panel so that we can deliberate on those matters as we move ahead. First and foremost, I think each one of us, without fail, need to understand that we have to reimagine learning and development. It has to be the normal. As Mrs. Gandhi rightly put it, the new word has to go away. It will be the normal, and we all has to agree to it that learning and development cannot be the way it was. Everything what we do as professors, teachers, educators, trainers, we need to see to it whether we are able to add value to that or not. It's not about number of hours we put in. It's always about what is the total outcome. Let us remember one thing, that at the end of the day, as hospitality trainers and professionals, if the customer is able to go back happy, you are a successful trainer. Rest has got no value. How many hours you put, no one will look into it. If the customer is happy, it is taken for granted that the training has been very good. So I think we all need to look at the output now. not about the number of hours we are putting in to take sessions for the trainees or the student. Another point I want to put in over here, there are experienced professors and teachers over here. I personally feel that training is like a performing art. There are three aspects of a training. One is intent, second is content, and third is delivery. Intent all of us have. Then content and delivery. When I talk about content, I mean someone spoke about the curriculum maybe. It is important for all of us as educators now to be working very closely with the industry. Please remember one thing, all these young ladies and gentlemen are looking for a job at the industry. So if you are not able to work closely with the industry, we always keep on saying there's academia and industry gap. And let me tell you, with COVID-19, the gap is going to go much further if we do not pull up our socks right now. Every hotel company is working very, very hard in the last 60 days. Let me tell you, we have worked on so many things. When you walk into a hotel, once the hotel opens, you will see absolutely new technology. The way you are being welcomed, it will be absolutely new. Every hotel company is working on it. So I think it is time for all of us to work together so that when you are opening up your gate for the young ladies and gentlemen to come to your college, they are able to get content on day one. So this is the time for us to prepare. The last 2 months is not about sitting at home, working at home and thinking what to do. It is a God-sent opportunity. We always complain we have no time to prepare notes. We always say we have no time to study. We always say we have no time to read new books. I think now is the time for you to look at all your hobbies, all your passions, and see to it that you are ready for the boys and girls coming to your college. One more thing I want to tell you, once a student joins your college, he or she also has a lot of aspiration from you. When he joins with a purpose, he joins with a self-belief. You need to create that. When he joins, he wants to learn from all of us. So we have to create that atmosphere so that he or she is able to learn. And last thing is that we need to create a sense of belongingness for them. At this point, all of us need to focus on something what we call as cognitive flexibility. Now, cognitive flexibility basically means that this is time for us to reskill and upskill. And till the time we do not reskill and upskill, let me tell you, you might not become employable. After doing a 3-year course or a 4-year course, if you are not making these boys and girls employable, then I don't think the job is complete. And over and above, we need to ponder on points like safe distancing, hygiene. We need to discuss on digitalization. We need to discuss on redesigning space ratios, how things will move on with spacing in the restaurant. And there are multiple things we need to work on. And in closure, I can only tell you, there's no point in thinking what to do. Accept COVID as an opportunity and let's coexist with COVID for the next 18 to 24 months. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Senna, for covering a lot of ground in your opening remark. What I like the most about your contribution was that you had said that the training and development, it has to be reimagined. A paradigm shift has to be there in the training at any level. And the second most important takeaway I feel that you just spoke was that effectiveness of learning, effectiveness of training, teaching has to be there. Maybe COVID era is going to force us to have less teacher to student interaction time, but we have to achieve more in that limited time which is available to us. So this is a very important thing, and I will come back to a few more key ideas, thoughts, themes that you have disclosed in your opening remark. In the meanwhile, we have the pleasure of seeing Mr. Satvir Singh, who is the Director of Study of National Council. Sir, may I invite you, as you are coming to the meeting, and deliberate on how at the National Council, because National Council is an institution, proactively thinking about so many systems, which will be adopted by number of items which are spread across the country. So are there any insights which you would like to share with this forum, which are going to make us better prepared to impart training and teaching to our students? Mr. Singh.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'm sorry, really sorry that I couldn't join on time because of some traffic. And anyway, so at National Council, I think our major role is to take care of all these colleges with respect to curriculum, with respect to uh, their class schedule, the academic planning, etc. So during this COVID era, what I feel, we'll have to change our curriculum a lot. For this, we are in touch with the industry people also, how they are moderating, how they are changing with respect to their departmental SOPs. So we are in tune with it, and we are talking to our faculty members, HOD, principals also, how we can update our syllabus, because in the post-COVID era, we'll have to teach our students, yes, this is the right kind of receiving a guest, reception, and then allotting room, and then taking care of restaurant, etc., etc. A lot of changes will be coming. So we are updating ourselves at pace with the industry. So I think within 3-4 months, we'll come up with the updated syllabus also. Number two is examination, which is a major concern for us. Pan India, the different states have different situations, right? In Maharashtra, the COVID cases are more. There, I mean, we'll have to follow a different strategy. In Kerala, in Karnataka. So if I take, if I consider the entire country, we do not have uniformity. If I talk about examination, sometimes we think about online examination, sometimes regular pattern, sometimes we are discussing with principals how we can conduct our examination at time, and it should be equal for all the types, all the different types of students. Suppose we go for online examination. I'm not very sure that there are states which are far away, and the connectivity issues one of the major issues for connectivity. So these different areas, different types of students, different COVID population, have to take care of all these things and then think of planning for the examination, future planning for the examination. So we are thinking on all these aspects. Right, sir.
Yes, rightly. Uh, the head that wears the crown knows, where it pinches. And I very well, I can empathize with you. It is not only the remote areas in our country which do not have the connectivity. One of the metropolis, Kolkata, for instance, and many places in Orissa, because of the storm, they
Yes.
still do not have basic utilities and all. And having a system wherein remote institutions also are partners with you, I think the risks and the challenges are great. Now, the way things are starting, social distance, we are evolving. We can't really claim that we know how exactly this COVID situation is going to pan out. Earlier, until a few days back, we were thinking that maybe in the airline travel, there will be no middle seat passenger available. Maybe every alternate row would be, kept empty. But fortunately, that has not happened. Fortunately, I say, because it was a matter of the mere survival of the airline companies. If we had to resort to, draconian kind of rules like that. Now, similarly, we hear that some of the leading hotels, like Dr. Sinha was saying, that in last 2 months they have been working. The norms are there that every time a checkout is happening in a hotel room, you have to keep it, unoccupied for 72 hours to make the effect of, or the chances of this COVID infection taking place. Now, this kind of a situation, I don't know how the hotel industry and restaurant industry in particular, it is very badly, how it is going to cope up. Are there any measures which has been thought by the restaurant owners and the food and beverage managers and the event managers? I would like to invite Chef Umesh Matu and request him to kindly enlighten us about those issues, please.
Giving their point of view. I think I'm a strong believer of Atithi Deva Bhava. For me, a customer is my God. And I think right now, my God is not coming to me. He's gone away. But as Professor Sharma said, and Mr. Pant said, he's going to come back. I'm going to get him back. And I'm positive when he comes back, I'm going to be ready for him. When he comes back, his main concern is going to be his safety. We will welcome with an open heart to him, whether that's by the way of namaste, whether that's by the of smile or whatever. But his main concern is going to be the safety of the premises where his food is cooked, the safety of the food handler who is cooking his food, the safety of the individual who is serving his food, and the safety of the ingredients which are coming into the business, which are coming into the property, which are coming into the restaurant, which are coming into the hotel. As Professor Sinha said, as Mr. Sinha said, we have not been sitting idle these 2 months. We have not put down our knives down and not working. We are thinking. We are trying to find out the ways and means of how the industry is going to be in the future. The industry is going to open. The customers are going to come. They may come slowly, but they will definitely come because the businesses will open. We can't live in lockdown forever. So once we go out, we will have need for food. We'll have need for accommodation. We'll need to travel. We'll need all those things. So the design of our hotels will change. The designs of our kitchens will change. We will probably the food which is held back for some certain amount of time is going to be the safe food, because we know that the virus does not grow within the food. Till now, the challenges of the food industry had been that we were fighting with the bacterial infection, which would grow onto the food. But now the COVID doesn't grow. It grows only within the human bodies, or it might grow within the animal bodies. We don't have the exact details of that. So the most important thing is to make the humans safe. So you don't have a carrier. You don't have the people who contaminate your food. So the moment a person comes into the premises, we have to ensure that he is not suffering from the disease. And then the material which comes in has to be safe. It has to be safe. So we will have areas where we will have food, laid off for a certain number of hours. So the designs of our receiving areas, the designs of our kitchens, the designs of our storage area, that is all going to change. And as Ms. Gandhi said, the learning has to change. We have to become self-learners. We have to, probably we have to start learning from the videos, and probably from video conferencing, where hand-holding cannot be possible. Earlier, when I joined the industry, my guru would teach me He would teach me exactly how much atta to put, how much maida to put, how to prepare a recipe. But those things will change. So with the changing times, I think we are going to be there. We are going to serve our customers, and our gods will come back, and we will definitely serve. You are on mute, sir. Pansab, you are on mute.
I am not able to unmute. अच्छा ऊपर चला गया. नहीं.
We can hear you now, sir.
Okay, thank you. I'm sure that the gods are going to be back. There is power in our prayers, and we have to move to the next session now. And a very pertinent point which has come out in the argument that Chef Mattu has said is that perhaps the role of the teacher, rather than somebody who is giving information and giving the knowledge, I think what needs to be learned is something needs to be told by the teacher now, and where to find the information and where to learn from. Probably that is the role the teacher could assume now. There is so much of information available to be selective and maybe to speak the language which is understood by our students. That is the role probably which needs to be adopted by our teachers now. The situation is going to force each one of us to change, and I think there is a challenge for the teachers as well. I would like to request Ms. Gandhi now. Ma'am, any insights, more insights could you give us in this area?
So, again, as I said earlier, I think as trainers, we are also facing a lot of questions. We started asking ourselves a lot of questions. And as time has moved on, unfortunately, the number of questions is only increased, and the answers are as ambiguous as it has been. You're absolutely right in saying that it's a huge challenge for teachers as well. Because it's not a question of age or experience or the expertise and the knowledge that the individual brings. I think the biggest change that is happening as we speak is the fact that what we learned as hospitality, what we learned as hoteliering, or whether it's in airlines or any of the other related sectors, is not what it is today. And that shift has happened only in the last 60, 70 days. And it's only going to increase more and more. And technology is only one component, but a whole lot of other things which does not require technology also and requires a human interface, that itself is also changing. We spoke about the welcome to the guest. The Artitica garland is not going to happen. The smile is not going to be visible. But how are you going to make the guest feel welcome? It's as basic as that. And that's something that we grew up learning from the first day we stepped into an IHM. And today we've got to relearn, or rather learn something else altogether, of how things are being done, what are the different processes, etc. So unfortunately, I think more than the students, the teachers are caught on the back foot, because you are supposed to be giving them the education and the skills, and those skills are something that you yourself as a teacher trainer have never learned, never seen, doing it for the first time probably. And so I think again what I think Dr. Sinha mentioned, that the gap between industry and the colleges or the institutes has to be bridged very fast, because the cohort of students are going to be severely impacted if the teachers and the trainers out there are not up to speed with what is the current processes and ways and methods in which hotels are functioning. And so I think it's back to trainee days and student days for teachers as well. I think relying on technology to a large extent, I think over the last 60 days, we've all done that. and I think it will only continue. There are a lot of educational tools that are technology tools that are available, no doubt about it. But I think just relying on that from a hospitality training perspective, I don't think is a very good idea, because there are severe limitations. Like chef said, sure, I can watch a video and a tutorial and learn my recipe. But at the end of the day, till I get my hands dirty, till I'm holding the knife, and somebody standing there telling me you're holding the knife incorrectly, that's not how you do. Uh, I will not be able to learn. What the learning that people would, the information that students would get is something, again, teachers would need to think through and be able to bridge those gaps in the minds of students. I think the biggest challenge that I would see as teachers is in terms of personal development of students. When you're even at we may be doing those safe distancing norms, etc., but certain limitations come in. As an industry, we have all been used to having those rush hours where you're literally bumping into each other, etc. And to a large extent, hotel institutes try to recreate that environment and that ambience so that students get a taste of what business looks like, but without bumping into each other, without interacting with each other, or limited interactions with just a few people instead of many. How does the personality come out? How are you going to hone the individual to become a professional hotelier? And that definitely cannot be done on a virtual level. So I think you're absolutely right, sir, in saying that teachers are going to be far more challenged in the next few days and weeks, more than the students, actually.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I think many of the participants in today's webinar are students and the faculty who are very much concerned about how the situation would be for the employment. And so I would like to ask you and Chef and Dr. Sinha in particular as to what is the vision that you see about the industry? How is the industry going to come out of this situation? I'm very enthused by the kind of words Chef Matu has said, that the guests are going to come back and we are going to see the better days again. And with the COVID experience, maybe we emerge stronger out of it. Or maybe in the Darwinian logic, the test would survive and then they would succeed, immensely in the days to come. So any visions you have, I would like to invite Dr. Sinha, and then maybe I would invite Ms. Gandhi to come back once again to share your perspectives, please. Dr. Sinha, the floor is yours, sir.
Yes, I heard Ms. Gandhi, and I think I again will reiterate on the same point that we need to look at this scenario as a life correction. We need to move ahead. We can't look back and say what has happened to us. Let's look at it as a life correction and let's move ahead. With respect to taking sessions, that's my personal view. I strongly believe, and I'm a strong advocacy, that face-to-face education has got no alternate. You cannot have online classes all the time. Yes, you can have a blend of online and offline, but please remember, a young boy gets into your college and he graduates as a ladies and gentlemen. He transforms himself from a young people into an adulthood. And I think these are some of the things which online education will never teach you. With respect to my faculty colleagues, yes, it is going to be a little challenging. I won't use the word tough. It's going to be a little challenging. But in life, let me tell you, the best only comes out when you push yourself to the corner. Like Dalai Lama very nicely said, everyone thinks, how will I make a change? I'm too small a person to make a change in the entire industry. So I will quote Dalai Lama when he says, if you think you are too small to make a difference, try sleeping with a mosquito. No one is too small, let me tell you. Everyone needs to contribute in whichever way we can. Coming back to the education perspective, I think National Council and the principals, I talk to many principals at MUM, and since I have an opportunity to visit all the institutes, we always deliberate as to how you reduce the gap between academia and industry. If I ask anyone, you say, okay, we have 62 to 63% of practicals. But when we talk to them, I feel there's a gap. My suggestion to you is that it is important for all of us to revisit the curriculum. You should allow the young ladies and gentlemen to spend more time. It is absolutely very, very little. The real learning takes place
I'm
only when
afraid, Dr. Sinha, yeah, we had lost you for a minute, but please continue.
Okay, so what I was saying that we need to look into the curriculum and also the contribution of on-the-job training. I was reading recently a research article by a gentleman called Dave Ulrich, who is a professor of business at the Ross School of Business. And he has done a research on what education actually means in today's time. And he strongly feels that in any curriculum, 50% has to be on the job. I'm not talking of what practicals they do in the college. 50% has to be on the job. 30% education. Obviously, you need to see to it maybe in first year a little bit less, and then second year and third year. And 20%, every student needs to do something what we call as life experiences. Because till the time they don't do all that, they will not be ready to face the challenging world when the employer, like companies like ITC, Oberoi, Starch will reach out to you. We are looking at the best of the best. Because at that point of time, we also want that those boys and girls whom we are recruiting from your institute, they are going to look at hotels which are worth thousands of crores. So we are looking at all of them as business managers. We are looking at all of them as someone who can take my business to the next level. On this, I also want to talk to you, as I said, that as educators, we always have this notion. I will give you some examples just to reiterate my point. We always have a notion what we call as cognitive bias, basically. And there was a beautiful study being done way back in 1990 at the Stanford University by two brothers called Chief Heath and Dan Heath. And I'd recommend maybe the teachers, if they are on the panel right now, they should go and look at it. It basically talks about what I think I have been able to tell the students. The students don't think that way. It's a long story, and the name of that research is called The Curse of Education. And it basically says a teacher feels that the success ratio or predicted success ratio is 50%. But when we ask the students about the same question, you know what the student told us? It said only 2.5%. Such is the gap. And because of these gaps, what we are saying, the teachers really need to work very, very hard and reach out to the industry. And let me assure you, if you reach out to us, we will be more than happy to help. But first step has to be taken by the institutions like yours. Like you have, if I'm permitted to suggest something with Mr. Satveer Singh also over here, you need to make on-the-job training mandatory for faculty also. Till the time you don't do that, let me tell you, the gap will always remain, and it is good for them. If you make it mandatory for faculty that every year, looking at your schedule, by the way, they need to spend a month or 20 days or 40 days in an institute or in a hotel, I think it will do wonderfully well for all of you. And they will be more confident walking into the class, because that time they will not be talking about the theories and tools. They will be talking about case study. They will be talking about caselets because they have seen it themselves. I think these changes needs to come into it. And as Ken Robinson very rightly says, a motivational speaker, that we need to look at education not as a reform. We need to look at education as an opportunity to transformation. And if we don't look at education as an opportunity to transformation at this point of time, let me tell you, these COVID will not come every year. It has come this year, use it to the fullest. we will not have work from home every year for 3 months. So use it to the fullest before we come back to office, and then again we say we have no time to study. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And very nice insights given. Academic institutions, essentially what I feel is if they are really interested to cater to the industry, the hospitality industry, they have to be like the strategic followers. Whatever strategy the industry is adopting, what kind of guests they are trying to attract, we have to gear ourselves up to that. I think our sister institution is here, how we can tweak our curricula to, and how frequently we can make upgradations in our curricula. That is an issue which I would like my colleagues to, bring to the discussion. But coming back to the point, there are so many people, their immediate worry is that what happens to their career. They have invested time, effort, money into this education, and they don't see any light at the end of the tunnel. So, do we have, like Chef very categorically, he was talking with conviction, very categorically, he said that the industry is going to get back to normal very shortly. Do we have any visions or anything that in next 3 months time, or in like Professor Sharma said, that maybe for the October season, the situation already would be better than what it is now, especially you, Ms. Gandhi, and Chef Mattu. Is there any indication that you see that the situation is going to take a positive turn for each one of us to look forward to? Ms. Gandhi, may I request you to please come in for a moment?
Sure. I must say this is a very, very difficult question that you have asked, and I wish I can answer this, well enough. Correct is a long way off. Um, Indeed, a number of surveys have been done, and different surveys are throwing up different data. But yes, one thing each of the surveys indicates is that yes, business will be back. It is only time, where the different surveys vary in terms of how much time it's going to take and the volume of business. That is where the variance is coming in. So I'm not going to get into which survey said what and how much, because I don't think that is relevant at this point in time, in this forum, that is. But what is really necessary to understand is that, sure enough, the business will be back. But we need to create an awareness. We're all of us are hearing about we've got to learn to live with COVID. I mean, that's fine. It's easier said than done. So the question is, how do you live with COVID? So what is the factual information, which I'm sure only a government source can, a Ministry of Health can share at large, to reassure people that if you take certain basic precautions of maintaining a safe distance, washing your hands, sanitizing it, not touching your hands and face, that you're going to be okay. And I'm not getting into testing and all of that, because that's conversations and debates that can happen to any length given the scenario. But the point is that if the awareness of these basics are created, and companies, airlines, hotels can reassure prospective customers that this is going to be a safe environment for them, I think the customers will come back. My only problem is actually, when you talk about students who are also on this particular webinar, because of the range of different industries or sister concerns in hospitality that IHMs deal with, the way retail is functioning is going to be different from the way a restaurant is going to function, which is going to be different from the way a fast food, a delivery is going to take place, which is different from how a luxury hotel would function. Now, the curriculum, which is what we were also talking about, should now be capable of, it should be designed to be able to deal with this variance. Because so far there were a lot of commonalities that happened between these different ones. Today, it's not going to be the same. So, when you ask me that question, will business be back? Yes, of course it will be back. Will it be September, October, November? Very difficult to say. But one day, yes, it will be back. But at that point in time, we should be ready to be able to serve our customers and with 100% confidence that they're going to be in a safe environment. As long as we can make that commitment, as long as we live up to that commitment, I think we're going to be all right.
Sir, you're on mute. Mr. Pant, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I could not help my. And again,
Yeah.
very true. Probably, like this COVID, if you look at the positive, the only positive which can come out of it is that this is an opportunity. And as very rightly said by Dr. Sinha, that this may be an opportunity for us to reskill ourselves or to acquire more skills, which will put us in a better position, which will give us competitive edge to achieve more in our careers in the days to come. But I think both the experts have very categorically um, said that the curriculum needs to really live up and catch up with the change situation. I think I would request Professor Sharma and Mr. Satbir Singh to take turns and say, how soon can we see any changes, coming about in the curriculum that we are offering to our students. Professor Sharma, could you please come in?
Yes, Dr. Pant, curriculum will get changed. As, in the hospitality industry, everybody has to know, as Umesh Matluji already said, that we have to include a little bit microbiological science in the curriculum, so they should know what is virus and how it is spreading and what is the bacteria. We have to understand the waste management also. These are the things which, because at the stakeholders which are at the bottom of the pyramid in tourism industry, they don't know the this type of sciences. So there are a lot of confusion is there, and they are coming in directly in touch with the tourists. So they should also be trained. And IITM is also thinking to train all the stakeholders at different levels also with this point of view. This is the things I would like to add on.
Thank you, Professor Sharma. Mr. Satbir Singh, what is your take on this, sir?
Sir, Professor Sharma has very rightly said that we'll have to give more emphasis on food science, hygiene. Though all these components are there, these components are already there in our curriculum. And earlier we used to have practicals also, if you remember, for food science, nutrition. Now we have stopped and only theoretical components we are teaching to our students. But now this is the time that we can revive the practical of food science also. We should establish food science labs in our colleges. And of course, we will update all these things in our curriculum. I would like to say to uh, Dr. Sinha has very rightly said that much emphasis will have to give on the development of teachers, of faculty. And I can give you assurance. Earlier also, our faculty used to visit for 2, 3, 4 weeks in summer vacation. Not all the IHMs, but many of the IHM used to send their faculty, and many of faculty members themselves have so much interest of updating their knowledge. They used to visit to hotel to update their knowledge. But now is the time that they must go. We'll have to make this policy from National Council that all the IHM should make this mandatory, that all the faculty members during summer vacation or winter vacation, whenever they get time, must visit industry for the updation of on this current situation. And we'll have to develop more faculty development program we normally conduct FDPs through National Council once or twice a year, and we develop our paper on different issues. But now, because online material, development of online classes, development of online videos, we'll have to take, have to, we'll have to train our faculty member how to take online classes. It is because the topics are old, but the system is new. So they should know how to make their slides, their videos, and how to communicate. As Ms. Gandhi said, that it is difficult in one-to-one class. It's okay that the faculty member can watch whether the student is handling the knife in the right manner or not. But we'll have to teach, we'll have to train our faculty members through online classes also, so that he can observe whether the student is handling his knife in a right manner or not. Thank you.
Absolutely, I do agree with you. In fact, it is not only practical classes. This is some kind of coaching that we do. Coaching, observing the student performing certain tasks, and then ascertaining whether those tasks are being performed in the proper way or not, whether the technique being used is safe enough or it is to be improved. And Chef Matu, may I invite you now, being an accomplished chef yourself and having seen so many food and beverage outlets, opening and prospering. How do you see in the new era? Is it possible to teach cooking and baking and skills like that on the online platform, or we will have to go to the old ways and do it face to face? Is there any scope?
Uh, I think there it has to be a combination of the two. It cannot be online. It cannot be completely online. But what needs to exist, there needs to be a certain amount of interaction between the person and the student, where the basics are explained to him. He is told the role of the ingredients. He is told the role of each ingredient which plays into a recipe. So once his basics are clear, and then he is given a brief, and then he watches a video, and then he goes back to the faculty or he goes back to the teacher and asks him that I have done this mistake. So the self-training, the balance of self-training, involvement of teacher, and the visual platform, these three together will have to work together. And secondly, I think the colleges also need to improve their infrastructure. The time is going to come when we are going to be dependent on a lot of sophisticated equipments, a lot of sophisticated machines, pre-processed ingredients. So there will be a lot of work in the food industry which will be done from the factories. It's been happening over a period of time. 20 years back or 25 years back, the butchery used to be the heart of the kitchen. It used to be the cost control center of the kitchen. But today's the butcheries have moved out of the hotels, are being processed into the factories, into the butcher shops. So similarly, there will be a lot of smart ingredients which are going to be coming in. So the recipes have to change, the equipments have to change, the infrastructure has to change, and the concern once again for any individual. See, we normally say the food should appeal to your five senses, but I think today the food should appeal to your safety. If your food is safe, that's the first concern which you're going to have. And as far as the training is concerned, we will find ways and means of teaching our students. If the teacher is dedicated, if there is a bonding between the teacher and the student, the mixture of the visual platform, the personal interaction, and the knowledge of the food chemistry, the theory of the food, if it is there, the skills will come.
Absolutely. Very well said, Chef Matu. And I think participants, your time to ask questions to the panel is coming. Please keep posting your questions, and the panel is looking forward to answer those questions for you. But before we sum up our discussion, the first part of our program, uh, the biggest takeaway for me has been that the academia and the industry interaction, it has to be more often. Uh, uh, Thank you, Dr. Sinha, for flagging that issue. Like perhaps, we have to enter each other's shoes more often. I have had the experience of, having short stints in Europe, especially in the Netherlands, how the academic institutions and the hospitality industry there interacts, and in Singapore and country in Africa as well, in East Africa. What I see is in all these three places, the ownership of the industry, of the academia, is much more than we would like to see in our country. Like people are entering, and I will tell you for an instance, many an institutions in Holland, Holland produces much more hospitality graduates than it can ever utilize in its own country. And the size of the hospitality industry there is not so immense also, but the kind of participation they have. I had the pleasure of visiting 6 institutions, though the base was there in the Hotel School of the Hague, but we visited so many different places, and every place we saw the industry represented, whether it was the mock-up rooms that were there, whether it were the machines which were there, whether it were the upholstery and various facilities. Each one of them was being provided by the industry, one group or the other. There's a place in Belgium, German, Holland border called Tilburg. I recall that institution with pleasure. They're the top hotel brands of Holland. They were competing with one another to make their room the best, right? So this is what I'm saying. And then there is another hospitality institution somewhere, I am not recalling the name, very close to where they have this Efteling theme park. That is the largest ice cream manufacturer in whole of the country, and it is a hospitality school. So the ice cream machinery manufacturing company has fitted a biggest ice cream plant in that institution. And as part of the practicals, the students are making so much of ice cream that you cannot just imagine the kind of ice cream being making them the tag of the largest ice cream producer in the country. But nevertheless, we really need to take this very seriously. We are going to take this as a outcome, and thanks to COVID era, that we are coming together and having this kind of a deliberation and realizing the need for more interaction that we need to have amongst ourselves. So we don't have too much of time, but I would invite all the esteemed panelists to make their closing remarks by taking 30 seconds or 1 minute each, please. May we start with the lady, Ms. Gandhi?
Okay, so thank you so much. Once again, it's been a pleasure to be on this panel and happy to answer any questions that the participants and the viewers may have. I think it's been a good amount of learning for me as well in terms of trying to understand what is it that colleges and institutes are doing in order to deal with the current environment and to keep the education continuing. Um, of course, it is. I couldn't agree more about the fact that this is a time where we've got to work with each other. It's not one or the other, it is with each other, because tomorrow, what we're doing today is going to be setting the pace for the future. And so I think we are more than happy to support colleges and educators and teachers uh, to come across and get an understanding of what current practices are all about. We'd be happy to share once business starts to settle down again. We'd be more than happy to share all the new things that are happening in hospitality in hotels. And I think likewise, we would like to continue our contribution to interacting with students and helping them create that mindset. I know it looks very, very uncertain and very ambiguous at this point in time. But trust me, change and the ability to manage change is a critical skill. And as long as you have the ability in you, I think students are going to shine. So that's it from my side. Thank you so much once again.
Very rightly said. And Dr. Sinha, could you kindly come in and make your closing remarks, please?
Yes, I think a lot has been spoken. So just to conclude, I will say yes, there is a tsunami of change in education, and the faster we understand, the better it is. Time for blended learning, online and offline. We need to marry both. Adaptability is something that we need to understand and accept it. The faster we accept it, the more time we'll have. And when we talk of adaptability, we need to also talk about infrastructure. I mean, digital infrastructure. That needs to be looked into in a big way. We can't talk of online classes without an infrastructure. The faculty and the student, I use the term digital immigrants for faculty. Maybe some of us are not that good, including me, whereas the youngsters, they are digital native. They know everything. So I think we need to mitigate the gap over there, and the faster we do, the better it is. Another thing I was reading a few days back, maybe all of you can correct me, that UGC has now allowed students to do a dual degree. I think it is important for all of us because I'm sure every student has enough time doing the hotel management course to do something more. If you are doing a hospitality course, you can always enroll in doing a dual degree with any of the institute. It could be on digital marketing, it could be on journalism, it could be on psychology. I leave it to you. But this time will never come back, and there is only one life. I think we need to use it to the fullest, and we should ask our students to use this opportunity being given by the government of India. I just read it a few days back. I think that is something we did not spoke, so I thought I should bring it to the notice. One more thing I think which will take hospitality to the next level. We talk of three values basically which will allow us to sustain, because sustainability is something which is going to go a long way. We at this point of time, when the times are very tough, we need to be hospitable, we need to be caring, and we need to be welcoming to all our stakeholders, because this is the time where we can't just let them go alone. And the last thing I was sharing with my colleagues few days back, that it is not always possible. Like, we are not sure when the customers will come back to the hotel. But as hoteliers, it is time for us to reach out to the customers. And I will give one example what we are doing as ITC Hotels. Like, if you watch TV, this Saturday, 23rd, this weekend, we started a new program on TV, on Star TV, all the 33 channels. So what we did was, every weekend it will come. We just finished one weekend, another 5 weekends is going to come. We have asked all our executive chefs in all our hotels, they're also working from home. So we are bringing the 5-star kitchen to the people's home. So what we are doing, we had 2 serials already on Saturday, Sunday. So if we are not able to reach the customers, or the customers are not able to reach us, there are ways and means of connecting with each other. So we need to think of innovative ways, and this is the first time this has happened where the hotels have reached your kitchen to tell you how do we prepare the dishes. I think I would request all of you to watch this in the coming weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and it's also coming on Hotstar. So you can see it on multiple channels. And I think this COVID has also reminded us one very important thing. Although we knew about it, that there is no substitute to a good teacher. There is no substitute to a good teacher. COVID has only reminded all of us. And I will quote Swami Vivekananda as I close: arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. Thank you.
Absolutely, very rightly said. And thank you very much. I have learned for the first time that our generation, digital immigrants, and our students, their generation in the digital universe, they are the natives. Very nicely put. And may I invite Chef Mattu to make his uh, closing remarks, please? Chef Mattu.
Uh, as I have been saying from the very beginning, the most important person or the most important aspect of the hotel is the customer. If your customer is there, your cash register is ringing. You're able to pay your salaries. Able to pay your people. And today, the biggest concern for the industry is my job secure? The security of the job. The hotels need to be sustainable. We have to create an infrastructure where our costs are low, where our kitchens are employ less people, where the areas are more, where people has multiple can do multiple tasking. So the multiple skills, multiple tasking is what's going to be happening in the future. So it's the sustainability. The people have to do multiple things. The teachers have to train people to do multiple things, to be able to work on different kind of equipments, to be able to generate different kind of cuisines. I think the traditional methods of cooking and traditional methods of hotel operations are going to take a back seat, and we are going to find new ways and means of working and training in the kitchen. As Mr. Sinha said, that they have already reached to the customers through digital media, telling them how to cook. So we understand today that this digital media is going to work. We have a belief in that we are able to teach our people. So if we have a belief, our teachers have a belief, we definitely will be able to do a combination of physical presence and the combination of digital media. We will be able to generate good chefs in future and good hoteliers in the future.
Thank you, Chef. Dear participants, before I invite Professor Sharma and Mr. Satbeer Singh, we are going to invite you a few. We may not have time to take all your questions, but a few selected and representative kind of questions we would be inviting you to ask the panel yourself. So please stand by for that. And before that, I have the pleasure of inviting Professor Sharma to please make his closing remarks. Would you kindly unmute yourself, Professor Sharma?
Thank you very much, Mr. Pan, and all my colleague here sitting. I am so happy that all students are benefited in this COVID period. In your presence, they are listening you. It's a great thing, because normally we were busy in the classes and not facing the experts of the industry like this. Attending and meeting to new. So I think we had a talk today, and thank you very much, IHM PUSA and Mr. Pan, for it.
Thank you, sir. You're welcome, sir. And Satbeer Singh, sir.
Thank you very much for making me one of the participants. And being at National Council as Director Studies, I consider myself as at the receiving end. So I've noted down all the suggestions given by London members, and we'll try to come up with to make these suggestions fulfill. And my only message for the faculty members who are listening here is to tell them that you'll have to work hard. You'll have to come out of your uh, easiness now. Now is the time when the students who are more learned than the faculty members, because it's the era of digital communication, and our faculty member have to come up with the pace of students. So you will have to learn how to uh, increase the span of attendance, attention of the students. You'll have to learn how to engage student in a distance mode. So you'll have to work a lot. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Singh. And I'm sure, you have not disclosed a lot of things, which have been proactively done by the Ministry of Tourism and especially by the National Council in the form of the exit protocol, because it is pending the approval of the competent authority. Many participants who are there in this group, once it is approved by all the chairpersons of the boards of governors of various IHMs and by the chairperson of National Council, there is a very detailed set of guidelines which are going to be shared with and which will help them, at least the logistic part that we discussed to begin with, the housekeeping arrangements in the COVID era, that is going to be shared with them. And uh, we have come to the most interesting part of the webinar today, wherein we are inviting the participants, the teachers, the academia, to ask their questions to the panel. So I would ask my support team to please pose the questions that has been selected by them, and then invite the person who has asked those questions. May I have the pleasure of inviting Mr. Deepak Yadav, who is the assistant professor at HMCT, Dandran, Punjab, to ask his question. Mr. Yadav, kindly unmute yourself and ask the question, please.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Yadav.
Hello. Sir, my question is what the steps could be taken to overcome the challenge? Hello.
Thank you, Mr. Yadav. We got your question, and his question
Thank
is,
you.
what are the upcoming challenges that the hospitality sector has to face in the COVID-19 era,
Right, sir.
and what
Right,
steps we take, and what steps could we take to overcome the challenges? We did enlist the challenges which were there in three different areas. One was the logistics, the second was the costs, and the third was the talent which may be going away from our sector. May I invite the panelists to answer this question, maybe with a little more elaboration? Dr. 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 Sinha, would you like to come in, please?
Yeah, certainly. I was thinking who should speak. That's the reason I was quiet. Okay, I think we deliberated on this matter in detail, and I'm sure as Mr. Satbir Singh and you represent National Council, you will look into all those matters what we said, we spoke about with respect to the curriculum, with respect to the training, with respect to the infrastructure. I think it is a journey which needs to be taken by all of us together. And as we also spoke about that we need to help all the trainers be a little more educated, and we will be more than happy to facilitate that. I think we need to take one step at a time. We should not think that, okay, it's a big mountain to climb. Let's take one baby step at a time, and I think we should be able to cross the bridge. So it
Right,
is
sir.
not a difficult journey. Let's enjoy the journey, and automatically, if you enjoy the journey, the destination won't be far away. That much I can assure Mr. Yadav over there.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
The next question is from Dr. Ajit Kumar Singh, who is from CCH CGC Landran. Dr. Kumar?
Hello.
Dr. Singh, would you like to ask your question, please?
Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
So in most of the webinars, I've heard of the word the new normal. But how will it work for the practical sessions?
Yes.
Because the skill set which is required, which in HM can come only by practice, and I believe there is no alternative for actual practice than like online thing.
You're absolutely right, Dr. Singh.
So do you
And
have
what,
something?
yes, yes. What we are proposing in a situation like this is maybe we organize the practical sessions twice or maybe thrice in a day with fewer number of people. Because the reason, we said that the costs of training our students of teaching for organizing these kind of classes are going to go up. We said in the morning that the costs in terms of the manpower that is required, in terms of the infrastructure that is required, in terms of the raw material and the utilities that you would be utilizing, they are going to shoot up. But I guess, these are the difficult times and we all need to make these kind of sacrifices. I don't see that time is right to think in terms of, increasing the fees or the input cost to the students at this particular time. So we will have to kind of absorb these kind of costs and work harder. I am sure that we, as the teachers, we are ready to make those kind of sacrifices. I would request
That was my
the
second question also. The financial
yes,
implications which I have written in my second question, that every
yes.
situation comes with a trade-off. So are the items and is the industry ready for that financial implication?
Well, I would like to invite my co-panelists to answer that questions. But prima facie, I would like to say, do we have any choice? But I would like to invite Professor Sharma. Would you like to answer this question, please?
Dr. Pant, I was on a telephone. I was attending a telephone. I'm sorry, I couldn't listen you.
Okay. In that case, Mr. Sadbir, would you like to take this question, please?
Sure, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Right. See, Dr. Ajit, it cannot be all the time online for all the things. As Mr. Pant said, that we'll have to find out a solution, a method where we can mix online education along with the offline classroom, traditional classroom style. So what we are thinking right now of conducting the practical classes on alternative days and inviting students only for the conduct of for taking practice in the practicals only. And for theoretical input, we will try to, because our subjects are somehow related, very much related, practical and practical is give practical normally give direction to the theory. So these two theory as well as practical components are not different. When the student will come for practical, they can be give enough insight about theoretical components also. So by dividing students into smaller group and by calling these students on alternative days, we can conduct these practicals. And I don't think that it will shoot up the expensive very much. Thank you.
Pant, mute. You're at mute.
Dr. Singh, I hope that answers your question.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your
Thank you so
question,
much.
Dr. Singh.
Yes,
And
sir. Thank you
now,
so much.
thank you. Now we have the next question. We have this question from Mr. Padmanabha VS. I don't know his affiliation, which institution he's representing. Mr. Padmanabhan, could you please ask your question?
So I am from Asan Memorial College. Hello.
Right.
Are you listening?
Yes.
I am from Asan Memorial College, Chennai. I am the HOD of that particular department, hotel management department. But this is actually affiliated college. Actually, it is not any
No,
government. It is not a
yeah,
government. It is a self-financed. So what
it's an
about see
old
what
institution, and we know the institution,
Asa-
sir.
Asan Memorial College of Arts and Science? I think you know that,
Yes,
sir.
yes,
Yes.
I do. I
So
do.
yes, sir. From there only I'm speaking. So this is regarding our practical labs, how it should be. See what type of practicals we have to conduct, how we have to conduct the practice. Because no students, if they are more in numbers, how can we do that? So how many days we have to? Because as I said, it's an affiliated, it's a self-finance college. We can't take more of time and more of finance procedures are there. Finance
Absolutely.
crisis
Is
are
there
there.
any
Yes.
particular panel member you would like to ask this question to?
Uh,
Ms. Sangeeta Gandhi, would you like to take this question, ma'am?
Sure, sure, sir. Mr. Padmanabhan,
yes.
I think every institute needs to look at their own business setup, if I can use that term, in terms of seeing how many number of students and the lab facilities and infrastructure that is currently available, and basis that be able to work.
Yes, ma'am.
All that I can say at this point in time is that one, cutting short the learning experience for a student because of limitation of resources would, I think, be far more. The consequences would be far more, you know, not truly beneficial as compared to trying to see what are the best ways that it can, which means slightly thinking out of the box. As Chef Matu was saying, maybe just get them to watch videos and have a co-facilitation session
Yes,
prior to
ma'am.
them stepping into the lab, so that the time that they're going to spend in the practical lab is going to be more meaningful, and hence a lot of the earlier time that is. So if you need to spend 2 hours learning to do something, maybe that can get reduced to an hour, and
Yes.
hence allow more number of students to get covered.
Yes.
I wish there was a thumb rule and there was a way in which we could, predict and talk about how those sessions can be organized. I'm sure
Yes.
the ministry will come up with the standard operating processes of what needs to be done and how it needs to be done. But at the end
Yes.
of the day, I think individual institutes need to see how best to fit it into their own environment. I
Oh,
hope that answers the question.
yes, ma'am. One more thing, because one thing I want to, because no, even in the practical labs also, we have to maintain that chemical, whatever chemical. Now, after post-COVID, we have to maintain
That's
all
right.
those procedures for
That's
sanitizing.
right.
Am I right or not, ma'am?
Absolutely right. Absolutely. And I think it is important to expose students to what the hotels, airlines, airports, etc. are using,
Yes.
because this is what they're going to be dealing with when they go for the industrial experience.
Yes.
So it is no longer just a Johnson Diversey range. Within that range, there is much more that has come in terms of disinfection and sanitization.
Yes.
So it is necessary to start using those. And like Mr. Pant said earlier, yes, it is going to impact your costs
Yes.
and probably the bottom line, but I think it is necessary to do that.
Yes. Yes.
I
Thank
would
you.
recommend not to compromise on it. I mean, that's my two bit. I leave it to
Sure. Sure.
the experts to decide.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gandhi, for your answer, and Mr. Padmanabhan for asking
Yes.
this question. Can we
Yes.
have another, maybe the time allocated to us by WebEx may be coming to an end very shortly, but we will try to stretch this thing as far as possible. So the next question is from Mr. P.K. Gupta. He is the principal of IHM Yamunanagar, and he says, what with the kind of increase in intake we have witnessed. Mr. Gupta, would you like to ask your question, please? Mr. Gupta,
Ms. Pant, you're not audible.
Pant, you're on mute.
His question is available to us. Mr. Sabir, would you like to answer this question, please? It is about reducing the number of students which are enrolled in the current situation.
As per the infrastructure is concerned, when we give affiliation to any of the institution, we check for the infrastructure, whether that institute have a right kind of infrastructure for a right number of candidates. So, thing which is related to affiliation, till now we've given the appropriate number of students. So it is not that we've given more application and the number of students are there. In the coming time, if it's a policy matter that ministry have to take care of, they will have to discuss about it, whether they want to reduce the students or not. But till now, it is not like this because the ministry's view is somewhere different. They want that all the students over all over the country should have uniformity in the education. That's why they say that the National Council should take care of at least it's a the old body where we can take care of uniformity across the country as per the curriculum or the education. So I'm not sure about reducing the number.
Very rightly said. And, Mr. Gupta, if you are hearing, reducing the number of enrollments is the first obvious thing which comes to our mind. But then this is an economic decision, and this decision cannot be taken in isolation. As a autonomous institution, if you have in your statute, if you have committed to make your ends meet by your own internal accruals. So if you reduce the number of students enrolled in your institution drastically, I think it is going to impact that. And in any situation, to survive takes priority over, succeeding, or convenience comes even after that. So I think this is a kind of economic decision one has to take, looking at the entire universe. I think we are going to come to the deadline is approaching very close. We may have time for just one question. And if this meeting comes to an abrupt end, I would like to take this opportunity to thank every participant in this webinar and my esteemed co-panelists who have added immense value to this effort that IHM PUSA had undertaken. Do we have time for one more question? Yeah. कोई भी. The one question is from. This is a question from a student, which is Deshani Paul. Ma'am, you train one of the best hoteliers in the industry. I think this is posed to you, Ms. Sangeeta Gandhi. Ma'am, you train one of the best hoteliers in the industry. It would help to have your insight on how we should prepare for our upcoming placements. This is a student of IHM PUSA.
Okay, very nice, very good question. I'm sorry I missed the name, but thank you for asking that question. I think it is important to be aware of what is happening in the world and definitely within the industry and especially in India, and to keep a track of what are the changes that are taking place and be aware. I don't know to what extent between now and the whenever the recruitment season comes in, how much time you would have to prepare yourself. But as I said, if there is one skill that is really required at this point in time, it is the ability to manage change, be flexible, be adaptable, be able to show and exhibit resilience. Do you have it in you to not get overwhelmed by what's happening around you, but be able to face the adversity and move on, coming up with innovative solutions? These are things that people are looking at, and what Dr. Sinha mentioned also about business managers. At the end of the day, every business setup is looking at, if I'm hiring this individual, can he or she add value to my profitability. And so I think it is necessary for students to start getting familiar with the business part of the setup, even if you're going in as an entry level position, you're contributing to the organization. So in addition to all that was usually required in the industry, I think these are a few new attributes that have come in. And if I can just leave you all with one thought, that please look at personal hygiene and community safety and hygiene. It is critical at this point in time. As long as you're able to exercise common sense in order to ensure both personal hygiene and I think that's going to help us a very, very long way. So do practice on that day in and day out at home and once you're back in the institute.
These are like golden words which would be echoed by any recruiter in the industry today. I'm sure Dr. Sinha would agree with most of the things which Ms. Gandhi has said. And without stretching this thing, we were allotted 2 hours of time. We are coming to a close of that. There are a few more questions waiting, but then we could not take all of them. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the panel members. You have added tremendous value to this webinar, and also to the participants who were very patient, who waited for their turn to ask the questions. And I am sure that there are very valuable takeaways for everyone who came together for this wonderful webinar. Thank you so much, esteemed panel members and the participants. Until the next time, this is goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Nice
Thank
to
you.
so much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sabilo.
And thanks to your entire supporting team, your faculty member and your students who've given so much effort to make this program successful. Thanks to your IT team. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can come in, IT team, they are thanking. IT team is here.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Kamal.
Support team.
Oh, thanks. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah.